all contributions, because many people are writing and are posting in our social media groups. We'll be collecting all those views so that eventually put them together, we produce something concrete. By December, we must be done in the process. In January, we will also call a broad consultation meeting.
Legal expert Mpumelelo Zikalala says South Africa's former President Thabo Mbeki's application for his former Justice Minister Bridget Mabandla's intervention in a case of victims of apartheid in an effort to exonerate his administration. In January, the families of the victims and the Foundation for Human Rights filed a court application against President Cyril Ramaphosa and the government seeking monetary compensation. The families have also accused the government of failure to adequately investigate and prosecute those responsible for apartheid-era political crimes following the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendations. Mbeki and Mabandla say the application is defamatory. Zikalala looks at their possible motive.
Basically, they're looking to exonerate themselves, so they're looking to put their version on record to say it is not that it was our unwillingness to do or to execute on this particular mandate that we have the situation that we have now, but it was means beyond our control. But the problem with that is what platform are you going to utilize, and are you directly or indirectly affected by the decision that you have taken? Also, let's take into account their political home, the one which they would say, well, after being in the liberation movement for such a long time, after occupying this position, which were very strategic and political for such a long time, why didn't you want to seek justice for your fellow comrades? Maybe that is why they are then saying we want to put our points across.
And most aid is still failing to reach those in need in Gaza despite the increased volumes of trucks. A BBC correspondent says 95% of the food is being looted from the vehicles by gangs now operating in the increasingly lawless Palestinian territory. Humanitarian groups have warned that this week is crucial if thousands are to be saved from starvation. The BBC's Yolandi Nell has the details.
A short time ago, the figures dropped from the Israeli military body that controls the crossings into Gaza. According to these figures, more than 200 lorry loads of aid were distributed within the Gaza Strip. And then in those airdrops, it's saying 20 pallets of aid were airdropped. So that remains pitifully low.
For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2 711 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I am Matapela Mahape.
(6:01 p.m. in Central African Time. Welcome home. Welcome to Channel Africa. A pleasure to have you join us at this time of the day. It is afternoon here in the Southern Hemisphere, and we're happy to bring you The Upside with myself, Matshako Mosito, in your company until 4 p.m. in Central African Time. I'm flying solo today and tomorrow. Deboho will be back with us in studio on Thursday. Happy Tuesday to you. We are literally at the tail end of the month of July. And as with any time of the tail end of any month, to put it that way, there's always, things to wrap up, things to look forward to, and preparations for a brand new month. So let me know how you're wrapping up July, if you are wrapping it up, if there's anything wonderful happening in your universe, and also how you're preparing to enter August. We're officially in also the last segment of the year, if you will, or the last a couple of months of the year. So there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of reflection, a lot of wrapping up, a lot of starting again, So let me know what's happening. You're welcome to tweet us at Channel Africa 1 using the hashtag The Upside so we can pick up the conversation with you. Coming up on our program today for this Tuesday, we're going to be looking at an interesting subject matter around healthy skincare, but not in a traditional sense, not in a way that you know it, going to the store and buying a product and applying it to face, if you will. But we're looking at home remedies for healthy skin. So when it comes to skincare, there are alternatives, and sometimes you just need to open your refrigerator, or you can open your pantry and find something that can actually help you, from face masks to exfoliators to moisturizers. You'll be very surprised at what you can find in your pantry, in your kitchen, as it is right now. So that's what we're going to be engaging on in the first hour. Golden hour of the show, just after 2 p.m. in Central African time. We're looking at Madiba's legacy, meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. The United Nations in South Africa has partnered with the Nelson Mandela Foundation and the Golden Institute of Business Science and Global Impact Network South Africa, and they're going to be launching the Mandela SDG Business Booklet, and that's going to be taking place tomorrow. So we're going to find out about the event, but also most importantly what the launch of this particular booklet is all about. And then the final hour, we're going to draw closer to Black youth, dive deep into ancestry and archaeology. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that because I want you to stay listening. I want you to stay listening for the next 3 hours. Thank you for being here and for tuning in and for choosing Channel Africa. We are live, audio streaming visually, audio visually that is, on YouTube and Facebook. Happy Tuesday.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
OK. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Hawa wa Afrika Kusini wenye asili ya kizungu ambao wamepewa ukimbizi huko nchini Marekani. Je, nini chanzo cha wao kuomba ukimbizi nchini Marekani?
Wenyewe wajaomba ukimbizi. Kuna shirika fulani inaitwa AfriForum, shirika mbili za wazungu ambao wanatetea haki ya wazungu hapa, AfriForum na Solidarity. Hao walienda Marekani kufanya kampeni kusema kwamba wazungu wananyanyaswa hapa Afrika Kusini, na walivyofanya hiyo kampeni serikali iweze kuwafuatilia kujua nini ambacho mnasema kwamba mnanyanyaswa.
Kuna namna ya wao kwamba wamepoteza uraia wa Afrika Kusini, na je, endapo Trump akamaliza muda wake madarakani, uhalali wao wa kuishi nchini Marekani ukoje?
Itakuwa vigumu, kifupi itakuwa vigumu wenyewe kupoteza uraia wao.
Darubini ya Afrika 11 kamili hadi 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Teboholi Kuleni and Mateko Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Jangwani umepotea, mchana juani unatembea, utokapo ni mbali, uendapo ni mbali. Marangamia mbebaji akatokea, akukushusha mzigo lokulemea, upata fadhari pole na safari. And that's what you did to me, yote 9 ila 10, umeonyesha maana ya upendo, si kwa maneno bali kwa vitendo. Umeridhika na nilicho nacho, pewa tutolea gimacho, siku nikiwa sina twalala. Oh baby, toi la la. Ah baby, before I close my eyes, mina muomba Mungu akulinde na kusimamie, wendo pacha wangu mie. Eti sikuizi vipi mbona sikusikii tena, sikusikii ukilia, sikusikii ukisema nipo bize na boo, jamani nimeshasema niko bize na baby na msalaba wake. Nitaubeba, nitaubeba, na nitafika nao kiume. Nitaubeba, iwe kwenye shida na raha, ama kwenye shibe na njaa, la kwako ndo langu, nitafika nao kiume. Fahamu umezimia, umewekewa damu zinaingia, bomba likafunguka, naweza tanyanyuka. Mara daktari wa zamu akaingia, umepata fahamu na mwangalia, machozi yanakuanguka, unatamani funguka. And that's what you did to me. Yote 9 ila 10, unanifurahisha kwenye tendo, na unipe penzi la magendo. Ah baby, before I close my eyes, mina muomba Mungu akulinde na kusimamie, wendo pacha wangu mie. Eti sikuizi vipi mbona sikusikii tena, sikusikii ukilia, sikusikii ukisema nipo bize na boo, jamani nimeshasema niko bize na baby na msalaba wake. Nitaubeba, 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 nao kiume. Nitaubeba, iwe kwenye shida na raha, ama kwenye shibe na njaa, la kwako ndo langu, nitafika nao kiume.
(15 p.m. in Central African Time. Harmonize coming through with Nitaubeba, the title of the song. This is us, bring you all things lifestyle. We bring you opinion. We just really talk about progressive things that are happening in the African region, all over the place. So listen, anything you want to drop in our suggestion box, you can use our Twitter to do so at Channel Africa 1 with the hashtag The Upside, and we will track the conversation. So we want to talk about skincare. All right, we want to talk about how you can achieve healthy skin by literally just opening your fridge or opening your pantry. Yes, you heard right. You heard right. That's what the angle for our skincare conversation is going to be. Really just looking at just natural remedies. So have you ever thought of things that you could do with your honey? The things that you could do with your turmeric, with your coconut oil, with your oats even. Listen, there's so many things that you can do, and they can all help you to achieve healthy skin. And there are also skincare remedies, as it were. We're going to be speaking to somebody from the Laser Boutique, or Boutique, as it's known, and we're going to find out more on how you can go about this correctly. I think if this is a new concept for you, then you're in for something quite special. So you don't have to double shop anymore, okay? And when you buy your coconut oil, I guess your problem will be, do I put it in the kitchen or do I keep it in my bathroom? We'll answer those questions for you straight after this.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
C'est notre invitée du jour, la belle Aïna Mwenze. Elle est là, certaines l'appellent Boss Lady.
Bonjour Monsieur Jolino.
Parlez-nous un tout petit peu de vous.
Je m'appelle Boss Lady Aïna. Je mets l'accent sur le nom de Boss Lady parce que je mérite cela après le travail fait. Et c'est une rémunération en titre de la personne que je suis devenue aujourd'hui. Épouse et une mère de 4 garçons. Et voilà ce que je peux dire pour l'instant.
Et vous vous êtes lancé dans le business. Comment c'est venu?
En tant que mère et se retrouvant dans les pays étrangers, particulièrement en Afrique du Sud, je me disais que laisser les enfants sur la charge des travailleurs ou d'une bonne, ça serait pas très intéressant. Je me suis dit, bon, je dois essayer de m'organiser et trouver un emploi que je peux faire.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
We're 18 minutes into the first hour of the show, 18 minutes past 1 p.m. Welcome back. So when it comes to skincare, you don't always need expensive products. It's a fact, all right? Skincare can be as easy as opening your refrigerator, as easy as opening your pantry. I promise you, okay? And it's a fact that some of the most effective ingredients may already be sitting in your kitchen or even your bathroom, as it were. So today, household items like honey, oats, yogurt, olive oil, all those ingredients that are already sitting in your pantry can be not only gentle but also very nourishing and surprisingly powerful when they are used in the right manner. These natural staples have been trusted for generations to cleanse, to soothe, and relieve or refresh rather the skin. From calming face masks to simple exfoliators, using household products can be a practical and also an affordable way to maintain healthy skin. So let's talk about it. Let's unpack what this is all about and how you can go about achieving healthier skin, and also maybe find a home remedy or two in your cabinet as we know it right now, as you're looking at it right now. We've got Sphere Herman, who is from the Laser Boutique, joining us in conversation. Sphere, so wonderful to have you join us on Channel Africa. Welcome to the show. All right, I think we're having some connectivity issues. Let's take another quick break. We'll return.
Your afternoons just got even better. Fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective. Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC.
Tu es un papa responsable.
Mebedi ruto ifundu tatu, mebedi ruto bakeme. Mebedi ruto ifundu tatu, wepushimento yala oh. Mebedi ruto ifundu tatu, mebedi ruto bakeme. Ruto bakeme. Mebedi ruto bakeme Mebedi ruto mimbondo Babendime moto basedime badishime medi we montingame uyubiliame dadame iyalolo iyalole kumame kumame le Dieu de mes soupirs, le Dieu de mes silences. Tu as encore eu raison, tu es un papa responsable. Maman Brigitte, que Dieu te bénisse. Tout.
Thanks for staying with us on Channel Africa. A pleasure to have you join us for the Upside. It is a Tuesday today, the 29th of July. Also, the birth of Dorothy Masuku, who is a Southern African songstress. All right, she was born on this day in 1935. Yes, 1935 is when she was born, the late great Dorothy Masuku. But really, when we trace her journey in music and just her contributions have been absolutely noteworthy. So if you are celebrating your birthday today, then you are celebrating it with Mama Dorothy Masuku. I don't know if there's any songs that come to mind for you when you think of that name. She's definitely just somebody we need to pause and really pay deep homage to. I think when we think about how her voice, once echoed through our townships, if you were living in South Africa, you would know what I'm talking about. How her music was on very important stages during the time and the years of segregation in the South African region, to be particular, but she's also traveled quite a bit through the music. She wasn't just a singer, she was one of our most important and most iconic storytellers, truth speakers, a freedom fighter wrapped in melody. Her music carried the hopes and the pain and resistance of a continent under pressure, and she never once shied away from singing what needed to be sung. And that was just that was the order of the day back in those days, wasn't it? That you needed to find a cause and stick to it and fight for it. And back then, it was definitely the years of apartheid in South Africa, to be particular. So when we think about her laments like Hamba Nontsokolo, or we think about Lumumba, when she sang about this is our land, very, very important music. Those are the soundtracks for our survival. Those are the soundtrack that have built memory for all of us here on the African continent, particularly in Southern Africa, and formed a movement, if you will, a very, very important movement. So happy heavenly birthday to Queen Dorothy Masuku, and we think of her on this day. Let me know if there are any standout pieces of music as you think about that name, or perhaps other musicians that came after her that remind you of her, whether it is from a voice perspective or a style perspective or anything, any memories that you carry of Dorothy Masuku. You're welcome to let me know.
Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
say now you did for my conscience, not the reason why you did, gotta. And anytime when I say make you give me chop, you know even they try hard, jara. Waiting there for your list where I know fit to buy on my legion one. See oh my girl, I swear you they give me ginger one. Girl, you they make me crazy, I swear you they scatter my internet. Oh baby, no go run away. Look in my eyes, you go feel my pain. Don't tell me say me car on my wrist. Spin me around like a hurricane, no run away. Look in my eyes, you go feel my pain. Don't tell me say me car on my wrist. Spin me around like a hurricane, no run away.
Baby, I miss you, baby. I know. But I'm out here thinking, if you really love me, choose between me and the shorties that you're hiding. You really think that I'm blind? I wanna they do me for one night. As you they see me, I'm fragile. If you did for me, give me your loving. For your sake, honey, I could disappear, honey.
All up in my face, she go keep passing. Come make a jam your machinery.
If you did for me, give me your loving. For your sake, honey, I could disappear, honey.
Come make us solve your mathematics. Make you come solve my jagbajanti. Oh my legion one. Waiting there for your list where I know fit to buy on my legion one. See oh my girl, I swear you they give me ginger one. Girl, you they make me crazy, I swear you they scatter my internet. Oh baby, no go run away. Look in my eyes, you go feel my pain. Don't tell me say me car on my wrist. Spin me around like a hurricane, no run away. Look in my eyes, you go feel my pain. Don't tell me say me car on my wrist.
All right, we're battling just a little bit to get Sphere on the line. She is from the Laser Boutique. And we're going to open conversation and really talk about healthy skin. But the angle will now be just looking at it from fixing your gut health. Hey? That's like a big term these days. Fixing your gut health so that you can achieve healthy skin. And then maybe you can throw in a home remedy or two if need be. But that's the conversation that's going to take place after we check in with sports. Figile Lingwati is standing by with the latest on the sports desk.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Good afternoon, guys. We begin with football news this hour. Fans intending to watch the African Nations Championship CHAN will not be allowed to access the stadia with vuvuzelas, whistles, loudspeakers or megaphones. These are among the prohibited items that have been listed out by the local organizing committee, LOC, ahead of the Continental Championships that kick off in Kenya on the 3rd to the 30th of August. The tournament will also be staged in Uganda and Tanzania. The decision has already raised eyebrows among the Kenyan fan base, considering whistles and vuvuzelas as well as drums have been a staple of African football for many eons, helping to liven up the atmosphere in the stadium. Also, a no-no for fans planning to watch the games is food purchased from outside unless those carried from medical needs or for infants. The LOC has also banned any offensive or political banners, including those targeting political, religious, or personal identity. This comes amidst statement from government officials as well as Football Kenya Federation FKF President Hussein Mohammed asking Kenyans to keep the peace. Some more football news. The chairperson of the South African Football Association, SAFA's Technical Committee, Jack Maluleke, says the association wants to retain the services of Banyana coach Desiree Ellis despite her team failing to defend their Women's Africa Cup of Nations title. Banyana finished a disappointing fourth after losing to Ghana in the bronze medal playoff match. Ellis' next mandate will be to qualify for the next year's WAFCON tournament and then the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil. The defeat to Ghana in the bronze medal playoff match was another bitter pill to swallow. When asked about her future, Banyana coach Desiree Ellis was tight-lipped.
Media, what people are writing is not true. certain things is not true. So when people write, they must get the facts right first of all. They don't get the facts right and they write the wrong things. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm saying no comment.
Ellis, who has been with the team for some time, he says the 16th edition of the WAFCON tournament will be played next year, after the 2024 tournament was played for a year by the Confederation of African Football. And Morocco will host it for the third consecutive time. And Ellis is already planning for the qualifying matches in October.
We have to prepare for a qualifier in October. I'm not sure when the Kusafa Cup is because we haven't got dates for that yet, and that's going to be, before we even talk about WAFCON, that's going to be a very, very important qualifier. You saw the DR Congo in the group with Zambia and Morocco. Yes, they might have lost their first game 4-0, but they are a formidable team. We played them last year in the qualifiers as well, with a very young team because we didn't have players available.
Now on to rugby news. The Boks started the defense of the Castle-Lager Rugby Championship title by hosting the Wallabies in 2 home test matches, one in Johannesburg on the 16th of August and the other in Cape Town on the 23rd of August. The Australians never travel well to South Africa, least of all to the Highveld, and last year's easy wins on Australian soil with experimental teams might have led to a feeling that the Boks at home could take on the team from down under blindfolded and still win. Erasmus said in a press conference in Nelspruit when he named his team for the Georgia game that he would rest several of his more experienced players in the first phase of the championship. But after the regulation win over the Eastern European team at the Mbombela Stadium, the message was that he would dial back on experimentation against the Aussies. Let's end with tennis news now. Hometown hero Eugenie Bouchard beat Emiliano Arango 6-4, 2-6 and 6-2 in the first round of the Canadian Open in Montreal, a win that delayed the former world number 5th retirement. Bouchard announced earlier this month she would walk away from the sport after the tournament, but added a condition to that plan in the wake of her thrilling victory in front of a packed crowd. Playing in only her second singles match of the year, Bouchard blasted a forehand winner to take the first set, but Colombian Arango turned the tables in the second set amid a cascade of unforced errors from her opponent. However, Bouchard broke for a 3-1 lead in a decider and hammered a swinging volley to extend advantage to 4-1. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Vue d'Afrique avec Joël Mouteba.
Cette peur d'un point de non-retour nucléaire suffit-elle selon vous à légitimer une telle offensive, monsieur Talati?
Absolument pas du tout. Cela fait plus de 30 ans que l'Israël crie haut et fort sur les toits, où il veut se faire entendre que l'Iran serait à 1 an pour obtenir l'arme nucléaire. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 6 mois, parfois l'Iran serait à 2 semaines pour obtenir son arme nucléaire. Et curieusement, jusqu'à ce jour, il n'y a toujours aucune preuve que l'Iran a obtenu cette arme nucléaire, en dépit des déclarations d'Israël et de certaines puissances parfois.
Vue d'Afrique, du lundi au vendredi de 15h à 16h, temps universel.
13:37 on the digital clock. Let's cross to the economics desk. Tabiso Lehoko has the latest.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Matseko, and good afternoon. South Africa's Minister of Minerals and Petroleum Resources, Gwede Mantashe, has stressed the importance of Africa processing its own minerals instead of exporting raw materials to countries that impose high tariffs. He was speaking at the G20 Critical Minerals Stakeholder Engagement, currently underway in Johannesburg. The engagement is being held under the theme Harnessing Critical Minerals for Inclusive Growth and Sustainable Development. Mantashe comments.
We want a discussion with China. They can build a bigger chrome industry than us when we mine chrome. The bigger chrome industry must be here because we're the biggest chrome miner in the world. We can't allow our chrome to be exported. It is kept, and then we flood the market later on. Prices collapse. We cannot allow that.
Workers' Union, GIWUSA, is demanding the immediate withdrawal of Metro Rail fare increases expected from the 1st of August. The Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, or PRASA, announced that single tickets will increase by 2 South African Rand 50 cents, while return tickets will increase by between 5 Rand 50 cents and 6 Rands, depending on the distance travelled. GIWUSA President Mametlo Sibei says that the increases are expensive, especially for the working class.
There's increases ranging from savage 33 to 43% on daily tickets. That is increases of 2 Rand 50 from 7 Rand 50 to 10 Rand for singles, from 14 Rand to 20 Rand for returns, to 16 and 25 Rand increases on weekly tickets and over 100 per month for monthly tickets. This is a criminal extortion of the working class, another blow from the GNU on the living standards and betrayals of the commitments and promises of sustainable public transport as an alternative to deadly pollution, accident and chaos on the roads.
Egypt's economy likely grew 4.0% in the fiscal year that ended in June, a slight upward revision from the 3.8 forecast in April, as reforms are tied to IMF financing and stronger manufacturing activity support a gradual recovery. Growth in gross domestic product was projected to accelerate to 4.6% this fiscal year. This in accordance to the median estimate of 13 economists surveyed from the 15th to the 28th of July. The Arab world's most populous country has been struggling with the aftermath of a sharp currency devaluation, soaring inflation, and the economic fallout from the war in Gaza. U.S. stocks index futures urged higher as investors awaited earnings reports from a number of companies and the Federal Reserve's policy meeting that starts later in the day. Dow E-minis were up 73 points or 0.16%. S&P 500 E-minis were up 15.25 points or 0.24%. And Nasdaq 100 E-minis were up 93.25 points or 0.4%. The moves follow record closing after the S&P and the Nasdaq on Monday caught up in volatile trading after the US struck a trade agreement with the European Union, while the Dow remained just about 200 points short of an all-time high. The car giant Stellantis, which owns brands including Fiat, Chrysler and Peugeot, has said it expects that the tariffs introduced by the United States to cost it $1.7 billion across the whole of this year. The new import taxes on cars and car parts were introduced by the Trump administration in April and May. Financial indicators at this hour. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,527 naira. In Botswana, it's at 13 pula 28. Kenya, 128 shilling 38. And Zambia, 23 kwacha 27. The BRICS countries in Brazil, the dollar will cost you 5.58. In Russia, it's at 80 rubles 13. India, 86 rupees 63. China, 7 yuan 18. And in South Africa, the dollar will cost you 17 rand 83 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Commodities markets. Gold is trading at $3,312. Platinum, $1,401 per ounce. Brent crude oil is at $69.96 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Thabisolo Hoku.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628. The Upside. On The Upside, your voice matters.
This is The Upside, and we're still in the first hour of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Matsheko Mosito in your company, wherever you may be, on the African region until 4 p.m. in Central African time. Okay, so we are talking skincare, all right? But we're talking about it being gut deep. If that's not a term, I just made it up. But here we are. Really, it's going to be such a worthwhile conversation. But when we think about skincare, we often reach for the creams. We reach for the cleansers. But what if the secret to glowing skin is actually deep within? In your gut, all right? More and more experts are actually pointing to the connection between gut health and skin care. And while diets and digestion play a pivotal role in making sure that you stay healthy and have healthy skin, as it were, it looks like there's a powerful role between the advancement of technology and treatments like laser, for example, are coming into more and more popularity as we move into contemporary spaces, into aware, and they offer a new non-invasive way to heal and rejuvenate the skin. So to help us unpack this, and almost said apply this, I almost said to help us apply this, but yes, she's going to help us unpack this inside-out approach to skincare. We're joined on the line by Svea Herman, who is the founder of the Laser Boutique. Svea, welcome to Channel Africa. Let's get into conversation about skincare. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me on air.
You're welcome. So I know, Svea, that I'm going to believe every single thing you say, everything I'm going to believe, because I saw your skin, not a wrinkle, not a dimple, nothing. Clear skin is what you have. So you're going to share some of your secrets with us. But I think let's start with the basics. How exactly is gut health connected to the health and appearance of our skin?
It is very interesting. Like we know that we've got our gut health, and in our gut we've got good bacteria, we've got bad bacteria. When we go to the doctor, for example, and the doctor puts us on antibiotics, what those antibiotics do is they kill all bacteria. They kill good and bad bacteria. That's why when we go to the doctor and we get antibiotics, the doctor always gives us a probiotic. Why? Right. To feed our gut good bacteria back again, so that our gut health is strong and that it doesn't have ripple effects on the rest of our body. Our gut health is super sensitive and super important for all of the organs of our body. And our skin is one of the largest organs of our body. So it's really important to keep your gut health healthy and make sure that you're feeding your gut probiotics, prebiotics, making sure that it's got everything that it needs. Just like, and a lot of people don't even know this, but just like our gut needs to be fed good probiotics, and just like we've got these bad bacteria and good bacteria in our gut, we've actually also got good bacteria and bad bacteria on the surface of our skin. So right on the surface of our skin, you've got lots and lots of bacteria that's sitting there, and that balance of good bacteria needs to be so perfect. And if it's not, then what lands up happening is it starts to aggravate your skin barrier. So looking after your skin is both, you need to look at the outside in and the inside out.
That makes so much sense. And thank you for simplifying the language, because it can get quite technical. But I'm just thinking as you're speaking, and it makes so much sense and it's so simplified. But there are environmental factors that can affect my skin, that can make it more dry, like the season we're in, for example, in the Southern Hemisphere with the winter. So what are some of the common signs that my skin issue might actually be linked to poor gut health and nothing external, as it were?
So to be honest with you, it's almost like you got to have a little bit of trial and error, because you never know whether it is your gut or whether it is the environmental factors. And that's why you want to choose a skincare brand that addresses both simultaneously.
Right.
And because there's so many channels that affect your skin. There is, like you said, so many external factors, whether it's pollution, whether it's aggressors, whether it's internal aggressors, whether it's external aggressors. You got to make sure, almost like you're checking all the boxes, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense, and also thank you for bringing in into the conversation the importance of probiotics, and fermented foods are very, very important, so that you can have that visible difference and clarity to the skin and texture that we're all looking for. The glassy skin, I think that's what they call it now on Instagram, glass skin or something to that effect. So we've got our special guest, Sphia Herman, founder at Laser Boutique, who's talking to us about gut health and its link to our skin health and appearance. After the break, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how laser treatments fit into this entire conversation. Stay with us.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et votre 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.ca pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you. The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
10 minutes to go till it's 2 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to The Upside. If you've just tuned in, we are talking skincare. Yes, skincare. We're looking at, helpful remedies. We're looking at how to take care of your gut. We're looking at laser treatments. And on the line with us is Sphia Herman, joining us in her capacity as the founder of Laser Boutique. And she has given us just an overview of the link between what is happening in your gut and how that can affect what your skin then looks like and the appearance and health of your skin thereof. Sphia, welcome back. Let's talk about laser treatments very quickly. Where do lasers come into this? How do they complement internal healing for external results?
So lasers actually don't, unfortunately, help externally. They help really more externally. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't even go starting with laser treatments until I got my gut health correct and also my skin pH or my barrier correct. So your barrier, like I said, right at the top of your barrier, you've got your bacteria. And unless your bacteria or your skin barrier is intact, what's going to happen is you're going to have a cascade of issues. So what I would do first is always look at the external, the barrier of my skin, make sure that's healthy. Make sure my gut's healthy, make sure I'm taking a probiotic. So we've got this probiotic, we call it, I don't know if you can see it, I don't know, that's quite weird. It's called Biotic 12, which is a 12 strain. And what it does is it helps feed your gut all the pro and prebiotics. Mm-hmm. And it's recommended for all sorts of things, for bloating and for candida overgrowth, for an imbalance in your internal flora, like we said, for colon health, for improvement in your digestive tract.
Wow.
So looking after, firstly, before you go to lasers at all, before you even touch lasers, because lasers are way better for, I guess, reversing the hands of time and working on anti-aging, whereas we need to first get your skin health before we start anti-aging. Anti-aging with lasers and even with like needling, bioneedling, facial peels, all of that. Those are all treatments that are unbelievable for anti-aging, but there's it's almost like a controlled injury to spark a cascade of effects. And you don't want to injure skin that is already compromised. So you want to make sure that your gut health is strong. You want to make sure that your barrier is strong before you start, peeling, microneedling, bioneedling, laser treatments, etc.
Right. Okay, you've got me quite excited and curious about your skincare range at Laser Beauty. So let's talk about it. A lot of people have concerns. I'm sure you get a lot of frequently asked questions about people wanting to deal with acne scarring. Pigmentation is a big one. So let's talk about some of the wonderful ingredients, natural ingredients, I would imagine, that are incorporated into your skincare for those common concerns as mentioned.
Yes. So I mean, I'll send you a few before and after pictures, and you can also show these pictures, because when you're looking at a skincare brand, it's super important that you make sure that the brand has got the right ingredients, like you said. For example, acne-prone skin, I would always start with a product that we've got, which is called, I don't know if you can see it, it's called Medicate Mist. It's actually an award-winning product.
Wow.
It just won Women and Home Product of the Year. And this product is quite amazing, and it's a really simple product. It doesn't have that many ingredients. Its main ingredient is hypochloric acid, which helps so well. I mean, it is such an incredible product that it's actually been used by even diabetic people with diabetes who have got, because when you suffer from diabetes, your body has, it struggles with healing. So what this product does is it helps with the skin pH. It helps with your bacteria. So making sure that your microbiome is strong and that there's no bad bacteria that's causing havoc. And especially when you've got acne-prone skin, you've got a lot of P bacteria going on. You've got a lot of bad stuff going on your skin. So literally spraying your Medicate Mist, and literally you just spray once in the morning, once at night. It just helps firstly moisturize and cool down, get rid of all that bad bacteria. And then you can start with, we've got what we call our foamy clean or our milky clean, which is 2 cleansers, which are great cleansers. They are not too aggressive. So in today's day and age, unfortunately, there are a lot of cleansers out there that strip the skin of its natural oils. It strip the skin of its microbiome, which we don't want to strip. We still want that microbiome very much intact. So it's very important that you use a gentle but potent at the same time face wash. After we wash our face, you've got the Medicate Mist that you spray. And then you were talking about external aggressors. And in today's day and age, there are a lot of external aggressors, whether it's pollution, so we've got what we call our Wake Up Serum. I don't know if you can see that. This is called a Wake Up Serum, which is an antioxidant, and it helps you fight external aggressors, external and internal aggressors, actually. And before I go on to the rest of the products, we've got what we call our Skin Health Kit, which includes all these products. So it's 8 products which help get your skin intact with for your skin health. And the kit looks like this. And because we know that, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see the kit?
A little, yeah. Okay, yes, continue.
It's a little kit, and we created the kit because we know that financially it's quite a lot of, it's quite a big investment to invest in 8 large products. So we created a small kit which lasts you a month so that you can try out the kit to see if it actually works for you. The Skin Health Kit costs about 1,240, and with that comes a free treatment, which is great. And so it's got, like I said, it's got your face wash, it's got your Medicate Mist, which is your spray, it's got your Wake Up Serum, it's even got a moisturizer in there. And the moisturizer is it's a moisturizer that helps calm. It's got ingredients such as squalene and calendula. It's got shea butter, aloe vera. It's got vitamin A palmitate. And it really does just calm the skin, moisturize, hydrate the skin nicely. And then there's also, I'm sure everybody's heard of retinol.
Yes.
Retinol is known as the hero, I guess, the superhero of skincare. So we've got our little good night serum, which is our retinol, which is part of the skin health. I mean, retinol basically will help with just about everything. And that's why we call it the hero of skincare, and we're always recommending it, because from helping to clear breakouts to helping even tone pigmentation to helping with skin cell turnover, it really is a great product to have. And for anybody that's listening, I highly recommend you always use a retinol at night, an antioxidant in the morning. And one last product which I definitely want to highlight is Skin Food. I don't know if you can see that. Skin Food is our collagen. Like we said, we're working our skin from the outside in and our inside out. So it's actually a powder, which also you can scoop into your coffee. You can scoop it into your morning smoothie or your morning orange juice. And it's literally feeding your skin collagen, and it's helping it initiates collagen production, elastin production, and it's made up of bovine collagen. So it's not vegetarian.
It sounds amazing. Yes. It sounds great. You know, I think you've thought of everything. Putting everything into one starter kit really makes us less nervous about trying out skincare. Sphere, unfortunately, we've run out of time. Very quickly, literally in 10 seconds, where can we find Laser Boutique if we want to perhaps have a one-on-one consultation with you?
Sure, we've got many stores actually, from Johannesburg, from KZN, Cape Town. We've even got one in Botswana. So you can go on to www.thelaser, spelled with an S, the Laser Boutique, spelled BEAU. So it's like beauty, boutique.co.za. There's a list of all of the branches. We are also franchising, so there's always new branches popping up. I mean, we've even got one in Nelspruit, we've got one in Middelburg. So yeah, pop online, and we offer free consultation. We offer a free test patch. We offer free skin analysis.
Wonderful.
So come in and learn all about your skin and hair removal needs.
Thank you. This has been so helpful. Thank you, Sphere Herman, founder at Laser Boutique. It's a minute after 2 p.m. Let's check in with news. Matapelo has the latest for us.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Mateko. Top stories this hour. Cameroon's Kamto under house arrest, and Thailand accuses Cambodia for violating a ceasefire. Good afternoon. As Cameroon's President Paul Biya seeks the 8th presidential term, his main challenger, Maurice Kamto, is reportedly under house arrest. President Biya, who is 92, is the world's oldest serving head of state and could stay in office until he is nearly 100 if he wins October elections. The country's Electoral Commission barred Kamto from running in the upcoming presidential election, a decision Kamto intends appealing. The Electoral Commission's decision has sparked concern of unrest. The MRC-CRM representative in South Africa, Nato Njomachuni, had this to say on the matter.
Officially, the president is not under house arrest. The information are not clear yet. I can categorically say that is not under house arrest. However, since Saturday the 26th, the day that the Electoral Commission has chosen the presidential candidate for the oncoming election in October, the government has militarized the two biggest cities in Cameroon, Yaoundé and Douala. But the president is not under house arrest. But the president has sent a message out to the population to remain calm.
And police in Angola say 4 people have been killed and 500 have been arrested after demonstrations in the capital, Luanda. What began as a 3-day strike by taxi drivers against rising petrol prices has escalated into one of the worst widespread and disruptive waves of protest the country has seen in recent years. Thousands of people joined demonstrations in the capital on Monday that saw roads blocked, shops looted, cars destroyed, as well as clashes between demonstrators and the police. Pockets of protest continued in Luanda today, along with further clashes with police and more looting shops. Onto this now, Nigerian kidnappers have killed at least 35 people they abducted from a Nigerian village in Zamfara state. Despite ransoms being paid for their release, the bandits demanded a ransom of $655 per captive. Local government chairman Muniri Haidara Kwara said most of the killed were young people who were savaged like rams. The Zamfara government condemned the killings as barbaric and cowardly and declared it's resolved to wipe out terrorism from the state. The killers will be brought to justice. And onto the story now. Thailand's army has accused Cambodia of violating a ceasefire agreed to yesterday after 5 days of border clashes. It says that there have been several clashes after Cambodian troops fired at Thai positions. The situation is now reported to be calm. A recap of your top story. As Cameroon's President Paul Biya seeks the 8th presidential term, his main challenger, Maurice Kamto, is reportedly under house arrest. President Biya, who is 92, is the world's oldest serving head of state and could stay in office until he is nearly 100 if he wins the October elections. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I am Matapela Mahape.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Minutes into the golden hour of the Upside. Welcome. If you've just tuned in, a pleasure to have you join us this afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Mateko Musito, hosting the show for you until 4 p.m. in Central African Time. So, from skincare to looking at powerful legacies, when we look at Madiba's legacy meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. Yes. Okay, we're going to be talking about the launching of a very important Mandela SDG business booklet. It's going to be taking place tomorrow. What is this booklet all about? As we understand it, the edition of this publication is about honoring the legacy of former South African president, the late great Nelson Mandela, by pairing his powerful words and value with practical guidance for business. So this is basically a call to the private sector to start incorporating, as a matter of urgency, meaningful action when we look at matters around inequality, education, climate and economic inclusion, all of that in the same umbrella. So we're going to be speaking to our guest this afternoon is Tanya Dos Santos Ford, who's a lecturer at the Gordon Institute of Business Science of the University of Pretoria here in South Africa, and she's going to talk to us about the importance of this booklet and also the launch that's taking place. It is 7 minutes into 2. Happy Tuesday.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
C'est notre invitée du jour, la belle Aina Mwenze. Elle est là, certaine, l'appelle Boss Lady.
Bonjour Monsieur Jolino.
Parlez-nous un tout petit peu de vous.
Je m'appelle Boss Lady Aina. Je mets l'accent sur le nom de Boss Lady parce que je mérite cela après le travail fait. Et c'est une rémunération en titre de la personne que je suis devenue aujourd'hui. Épouse et une mère de 4 garçons. Et voilà ce que je peux dire pour l'instant.
Et vous vous êtes lancé dans le business. Comment c'est venu?
En tant que mère et se retrouvant dans les pays étrangers, particulièrement en Afrique du Sud, je me disais que laisser les enfants sur la charge des travailleurs ou d'une bonne, ça serait pas très intéressant. Je me suis dit, bon, je dois essayer de m'organiser et trouver un emploi que je peux faire.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Stella Longwe
pamalonje.
Palitusokoma pano pamalonje kumvera nyimbo za mu Africa kusangalala kupeza moyo akuti kumva moyo kuti kuyenda bwino pano pamalonje ndiyetu apa tili ndikatswiri oyimba ameneyu ndikatswiri wa dziko la Malawi amene akukhala mdziko la South Africa ndipo amayimba amene akuti ndi Big Nick Malawi. Yatusati kuti kodi moyo wanu woyimba ukuyenda bwanji mu Johannesburg?
Moyo woyimba ukuyenda bwinobwino kwambiri chiliyonse chikutheka ndithu bwinobwino.
Ayi aziwoneka chiliyonse chikutheka mofa magrasi anu apa mwaka akuti kumenya yonse aziwoneka zoti azikutheka ndithu mu Johannesburg.
Malonje pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lowiruka ndi Stella Longwe.
Your afternoons just got even better. Fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
It's still B on the beat.
Faster music. E-money. Casey, your good boyfriend. Come on. Hey. Girl, I just want to see your face. Your face. I wanna see your face. Your face. I wanna see your fine face. Your face. 'Cause in my let's go. Girl, I just want to see your face. Your face. I wanna see your face. Your face. I wanna see your fine face. Your face. 'Cause in my sugar, oh sugar, your love sweet me past sugar. I just wanna let you know, say you are so beautiful, oh baby, my honey, my sweet sweet honey. Hey, like I do water for my body, good for my body. Like I do water for my body, good for my body. Oh, can I just want to see your face? Your face. I wanna see your face. Your face. I wanna see your fine face. Your face. 'Cause in my girl, I just wanna see your face. Your face. I wanna see your face. Your face. I wanna see your fine face. Your face. 'Cause in my inside my heart, inside my body, you don't take your place, special place. 'Cause I feel I see the enter, now my heart see the enter. Baby, gotta go, I say gotta go. My name is Casey. All my friends them love you. My family them like you. 'Cause now you I love. Now you I love, oh. Girl, I just want to see your face. Your face. Hey, I wanna see your face. Your face. I wanna see your fine face. Your face. 'Cause in my girl, I just want to see your face. Your face. I wanna see your face. Your face. I wanna see your fine face. Your face. 'Cause in my okay, my name is Casey. All my friends them love you. My family them like you. 'Cause now you I love. Now you I love. Oh.
Makes it fast.
Chidi Ajari.
The remix of Fine Face by Casey coming through as we enter the gates of our golden hour on the Upside. Thank you for staying with us. And if you're a first-time listener, well, welcome to the show. A pleasure to have you join us until 4 p.m. in Central African Time. We are going to be talking about former President of South Africa, Nelson Mandela's legacy, meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. Yes, that's what's going to be happening when we look at the launch of the Mandela SDG business booklet. This launch is set to take place tomorrow, and we're going to be speaking to Tanya dos Santos Ford, who's lecturer at the Gordon Institute of Business Science of the University of Pretoria here in South Africa, to tell us more. So we're going to be looking at how the private sector is going to be taking meaningful action, or the call for them to start taking meaningful action in some very key areas, including poverty and inequality. Stay with us.
Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay logged right here. The Upside, taking the African perspective to fresh levels.
All right, 14:14 on the digital clock. Thank you for staying with us. So the United Nations in South Africa, in partnership with the Nelson Mandela Foundation, the Gordon Institute of Business Science, and the Gordon Compact Network South Africa, they are launching the Mandela SDG business booklet, and it's going to be taking place tomorrow, the 30th of July 2025. The event will take place at the Nelson Mandela Foundation in Johannesburg and will bring together business leaders, entrepreneurs, academics, civil society, and United Nations officials to reflect on how the private sector can drive progress towards the 2030 sustainable goals or development goals, as they are known. So as we understand it, the edition of this particular publication offers and honors the legacy of former president, the late great Nelson Mandela, by pairing his powerful words and value with practical guidance for business. This is a very important call for the private sector to take action in key areas, as I'd mentioned, poverty, inequality, education, climate change, very, very important, as well as economic inclusion. So let's unpack this. Let's get into conversation with Tanya dos Santos Ford, lecturer at the Gordon Institute of Business Science of the University of Pretoria. Tanya, welcome to Channel Africa. Thank you for making time.
Afternoon.
Let's start with the Gibbs Institute. Let's start with how they're incorporating the Sustainable Development Goals into the business education curriculum.
So, Matseko, sorry. I think what's important to note is that when the UN Sustainable Development Goals were established, which was in 2015, they were actually created for countries. So these goals are not simply, translated for business or for education institutions. But having said that, sustainability is not new to business, certainly business in South Africa, and it's not new to, academia either. And Gibbs actually joined another UN organization called the Principles for Responsible Management Education back in 2009. And that's really where they started being grounded on placing organizational responsibility, ethics, accountability to society and to the planet, you mentioned climate change, really at the core of what Gibbs is doing. So there's this underpin of, what does this mean for us as an organization? I think another important element is the personal commitment that Dean Prof. Morris Mtombeni, the Dean of Gibbs, that he personally has taken and brought to the business school. He's personally signed up to the Business Schools for Climate Leadership, which is also part of the UN. And so I think you've got this, bottom up, top down approach. So how do we do this, in the actual curriculum? This is a little more difficult, and this is something that a lot of education institutions are kind of navigating their way through. However, Gibbs has done a lot in the space. So they've incorporated it into their core modules and, their disciplines, things like finance, economic strategy, marketing. And this is really about showing students what the goals mean and how do they impact on business decisions, risks, but also opportunities. And then we have things like our applied business project or our MBA course, which is one of the courses I'm responsible for. Right. So we have a specific MBA course focused solely on climate leadership and sustainability for those students who really want to dig deeper into it. So there are a number of ways that, GIBS is bringing the Sustainable Development Goals into their various curriculum pieces.
All right. Very important. I think let's just take a quick break. When we return, we're going to look at the content of this business booklet that's going to be launched tomorrow.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
O Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel África. Okay. Adivinha só, a Channel África quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel África está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
Welcome to The Upside. If you've just tuned in, we're 20 minutes into 2 p.m. in Central African Time. Thank you very much for joining us. We are wrapping up International Nelson Mandela Month by really talking about Madiba's legacy, meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. How? Well, we're talking about the launch of a very important booklet, the Mandela SDG Business Booklet, and the launch is going to be happening tomorrow. So we really are unpacking the importance of this particular booklet with Tanya dos Santos Ford, who's lecturer at the Gordon Institute of Business Science of the University of Pretoria here in South Africa. Tanya, welcome back. I think this is such an innovative way to not only tribute the legacy of former President Mandela, but also to, I guess, incorporate and also highlight the importance of history, not just as history, but history that is not separate from the current issues as we see them now. So talk to us a little bit and elaborate a little bit on the ways that Mandela's leadership values are being used to shape the next generation of business leaders through GIBS.
So Matseko, it's really interesting, you talk about, looking back. And a new generation. So I think of my kids who are 17 and 20 and 21.
Right.
And they didn't know Mandela the way I did from 25, 30 years ago. And yet for them, he is this inspiration that they've learned through, their own school careers. And so I think Mandela really, his leadership serves as this very powerful source of inspiration of what one person made possible. So I often have students in my class saying, this climate stuff is just too overwhelming. What can I do? I'm just one person. And we often hear this around Mandela Month as well. And so for me, it's really important to remind them what that one person actually did and how his values of integrity, of empathy in particular these days,
right,
of resilience, all those important values that Mandela espoused, how those need to be brought into their leadership styles and their leadership work.
I also, you speak about some really big and very important themes that are being incorporated into business, like empathy, which is something that would probably not be on the table for discussion 25, 30 years ago, Tanya. But let's talk about, I hear a lot in, with modern social science, for example, where there is just this almost a call for academia to kind of be more accessible, for people to be able to understand it. So in that consideration, talk to us about the balance between traditional business teaching as we know it and the urgency of ethical leadership so that it can meet sustainability, so that it can meet the social impact that we're all talking about here.
Yeah, so if I think back to when I was at university, there was no such thing as sustainability. It didn't exist. I studied economics, so it's quite actually at the heart of what sustainability is about understanding, that we need to be mindful of preserving this world for future generations and living sustainably. But GIBS is actually relatively new if you're thinking about traditional teaching institutions.
Yes.
GIBS is 25 years old. So they actually have a relatively agile model and teaching environment almost from inception. So we teach our students that ethical leadership, that sustainability, and that social impact aren't separate from business success. They're actually integral, they're part of it. So, for example, if you think of how supply chains can help reduce costs and improve your brand reputation, or how inclusive business models can possibly unlock new market opportunities. So we really are moving away from this purely profit-driven model, just purely focused on shareholders, to a much more holistic stakeholder approach.
Right.
And so we're really trying to teach students that doing good can also be good for business and vice versa.
100%. Couldn't have said it better. So let's talk about this booklet. I think when we look at, there's obviously a desired outcomes. When we look at this booklet, really wanting to put forth a call to the private sector to take this meaningful action in some very important matters, particularly when we look at South Africa and other African regions, economic inclusion, as you mentioned it, inequality, which is such a big problem here. So talk to us about the booklet, and it's launched tomorrow, and really what you desire the outcomes of this booklet to be.
Yeah. So this book actually started last year, where the first book was done a year ago, and it was based on what are the individual contributions that each of us can make towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And it was really around inspirational stories of individuals who are doing great work in this space. So this year, it's really around the business focus. So what can businesses do?
Yes.
And this is not just for, big listed corporates. We know what the big listed corporates are doing. That generally comes with some kind of marketing campaign as well. This goes down to even, your small SMEs, your entrepreneurs, individual businesses, private companies, etc. So it's really to try and appeal to all levels of business to say, hey, what are you doing? Are you conscious of what these Sustainable Development Goals are? How does that fit into your business strategy? Because your business strategy and your purpose ultimately should be around trying to address one of these goals. That's what purposeful business is all about. And so the book essentially marries some of these very inspirational quotes from Madiba with these tips and inspirational stories from business. And what do we ultimately want to get out of it? Well, essentially, it's got to go beyond the words. So the words are wonderful, but we can't just carry on talking things, having conversations. It's about action. So really, the booklet is about a call to action for everyone to acknowledge that they have a role to play. Doesn't matter what sector you're in, whether you're public or private, where you are placed in the country or the continent, you have a role to play in bringing these Sustainable Development Goals to life.
Tanya, you mentioned something so important in terms of the holistic approach that is now being implemented in many places and spaces. Very big sort of humanitarian themes that are finding themselves in all kinds of businesses. But perhaps let's look at the trio, right? The trio of humanity, meeting business, meeting academia. I mean, in no particular order, but just that triangle, if you will. And talk about looking at making a measurable progress with those three considerations? I mean, we're looking here at the 2030 agenda. So how can the three meet and support one another to make sure that we actually see some progress as we move into the year 2030?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you've picked on those three in particular. So I've been fortunate to work in the business as a professional, predominantly in banking. But part of that, I was very fortunate to work on the UN Global Investors for Sustainable Development.
Right.
So I got to see that there is a really strong willingness from business and from the private sector to help drive sustainable development. Now I'm in academia, see a completely different perspective. And academia has such an important role to play in helping to understand who the stakeholders. So the third stakeholder you spoke about was, I think it was civil society.
Yes.
Civil society, and then of course we have government. And so I think all of these stakeholders have a role to play, but it doesn't help when they're all off doing their own thing. And, academia is on one path and civil societies, protesting because they're not happy with, how things are going. Government's under pressure to create this enabling environment. And so that's one of the reasons why I actually love being in this academic space, because academia and business schools can really be seen as that catalyst for change, because they almost bridge that gap between, what's academic knowledge, what's theoretical, and what's practical to actually implement. And what do you need to make that happen? So it's important that all of these come together and start, moving together in the same direction.
Okay, sounds wonderful. Okay, we've got to take sports news now, but very quickly, talk to us about the launch, where it's going to be happening, and if we could perhaps join in online, or how does it work?
So it is taking place at the Mandela Foundation offices. It's tomorrow morning at 10 to 12. There'll be a number of media events around it, and as far as I know, it's not available online.
Okay.
But certainly there will be plenty of media around it, sharing information of, what are the outcomes and what is the real call to action here.
Okay, sounds absolutely wonderful. So I guess if you're in business, in government and civil society, this is definitely, even if you're a student at university level, this is definitely something to check out. Thank you so much, Tanya Dos Santos, joining us in her capacity as lecturer at the Gordon Institute of Business Science of the University of Pretoria. It is 2:31. Figilele Ngwati, what's happening in sports?
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
In this hour, we will begin with football news and also Olympics. Let's start off with the Olympic Committee of Nigeria. That's President of the Nigeria Olympic Committee, NOC, Engri Habu Ahmed Gumel, has called on Nigerian athletes participating in the inaugural Africa Schools Games in Algeria to adapt to the local cuisine provided by the host nation. This landmark event, organized by the Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa, ANOCA, features a variety of continental dishes approved as universal meals. During a visit to the athletes at the Games Village within the university, El Boni in Annaba, Algeria, Gumel acknowledged the longing many athletes have for traditional Nigerian foods. However, he emphasized the importance of improvisation in the absence of familiar dishes. Gumel further highlighted the necessity of incorporating continental cuisine into the athlete's diet during the training camp. On to football news. Fans intending to watch the African Nations Championship CHAN will not be allowed to access the stadia with vuvuzelas, whistles, loudspeakers or megaphones. These are among the prohibited items that have been listed out by the local organizing committee, the LOC, ahead of the Continental Championship that kick off in Kenya on the 3rd to the 30th of August. The tournament will also be staged in Uganda and Tanzania The decision has already raised eyebrows among the Kenyan fan base, considering whistles and vuvuzelas as well as drums have been a staple of African football for many eons, helping to liven up the atmosphere in the stadium. Also, a no-no for fans planning to watch the games is food purchased from outside unless those carried for medical needs or for infants. The LOC has also banned any offensive or political banners, including those targeting political, religious or personal identities. This comes amid statements from government officials as well as Football Kenya Federation President Hussein Mohamed asking Kenyans to keep the peace. And still with football news, the chairperson of the South African Football Association SAFA's Technical Committee, Jack Maluleke, says the association wants to retain the services of Banyana Banyana coach Desiree Ellis despite her team failing to defend their Women's Africa Cup of Nations title. Banyana finished a disappointing fourth after losing to Ghana in the bronze medal playoff match. Ellis's next mandate will be to qualify for next year's WAFCON tournament and then the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil. Banyana slipped into the country almost unnoticed last night following their fourth place finish at the WAFCON tournament. When asked about her future, Banyana coach Desiree Ellis was tight-lipped.
I'm not going to comment. I've been taken out of context on numerous occasions, and I think it's best that I don't comment on that, because already all over the media, what people are writing is not true. Certain things is not true. So when people write, they must get the facts right, first of all. They don't get the facts right and they write the wrong thing. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm saying no comment.
Desiree Ellis says the 16th edition of the WAFCON tournament will be played next year after the 2024 tournament was delayed for a year by the Confederation of African Football. Morocco will host it for the third consecutive time, and Ellis is already planning for the qualifying matches in October.
We have to prepare for a qualifier in October. I'm not sure when the COSAFA Cup is, because we haven't got dates for that yet, and that's going to be, before we even talk about WAFCON, that's going to be a very, very important qualifier. We saw the DR Congo in the group with Zambia and Morocco. Yes, they might have lost their first game 4-0, but they are a formidable team. We played them last year in the qualifiers as well, with a very young team because we didn't have players available.
For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Ngwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Tumetoka kusikiliza wimbo na huo ni utunzi wako, wewe ndio umeandika mistari na imani wewe ndio umeandika mstari. Tuanzie kwenye jina. Wimbo unaenda kwa jina gani?
Wimbo unaitwa Kanjori.
Aha, Kanjori. Kanjori maana yake nini?
Kama jinsi nilivyoimba. Nauza wazo leo, kesho nawaza uzuri wake, mwendo wake. Sijapata sio msikilio. Ukikau matendo yake, changu chake.
Unatisha kweli kweli. Aha, Kanjori. Ni historia gani au message gani ambayo imefichama nyuma ya wimbo huu?
Yeah, Kanjori kwa ufupi ni kitu kizuri, yani kitu kidogo. Kitu kadogo yani, alafu ni kazuri ambapo kanavutia kwa kila mtu. Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
All right, 2:37 on the digital clock. Let's check in with business news. Tabiso Lohoko is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Matseko, and good afternoon. Angola has seen a wave of protests, including 4 deaths and 500 arrests, following a 3-day strike by taxi drivers against rising petrol prices. The protests began in Luanda, with thousands joining demonstrations, blocking roads, looting shops, and clashes between demonstrators and police. The strike was called in response to the government's decision to raise diesel prices by over 33%, which has led to higher fares for urban Angolans and increased prices of staple foods and basics. President João Lourenço dismissed concerns, stating that protesters are using petrol prices as a pretext to undermine the government. The average monthly wage in Angola is just 70,000 kwanzas, and a promise to increase it to 100,000 kwanzas has not materialized. South Africa's Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister, Gwede Mantashe, says South Africa should not be bullied into trading its critical minerals based on unfavorable terms and conditions. He says South Africa should not be apologetic for being a BRICS partner because it destabilizes the balance of forces and global leadership. He was delivering a keynote address at the G20 Critical Mineral Engagement in Sandton, north of Johannesburg. Mantashe stressed that if being a BRICS member attracts tariffs from the US, then South Africa should diversify its markets.
The most important thing for us as developing economies is that we should not be bullied for what we own. We must have a view, and our view must be respected, that we mine these critical minerals. People need them. They must talk to us. We must not give them critical minerals in their own terms, and our views are ignored.
Meanwhile, Mantashe stressed the importance of Africa processing its own minerals instead of exporting raw materials to countries that impose high tariffs. He was speaking at the G20 Critical Minerals, a stakeholder engagement currently underway in Johannesburg. The engagement is being held under the theme Harnessing Critical Minerals for Inclusive Growth and Sustainable Development.
We want a discussion with China. They can build a bigger chrome industry than us when we mine chrome. The bigger chrome industry must be here because we're the biggest chrome miner in the world. We can't allow our chrome to be exported. It is kept, and then we flood the market later on. Prices collapse. We cannot allow that.
Egypt's economy likely grew 4.0% in the fiscal that ended in June, a slight upward revision from 3.8% forecast in April, as reforms are tied to IMF financing and stronger manufacturing activity support a gradual recovery. Growth in gross domestic product was projected to accelerate to 4.6% this fiscal year. This is in accordance to the median estimate of 13 economists surveyed from the 15th to the 28th of July. The Arab world's most populous country has been struggling with the aftermath of a sharp currency devaluation, soaring inflation, and the economic fallout from the war in Gaza. U.S. stock index futures edged higher as investors awaited earnings reports from a number of companies and the Federal Reserve's policy meeting that starts later in the day. Dow E-minis were up 73 points, or 0.16%. S&P 500 E-minis were up 15.25 points, 0.24%. And Nasdaq 100 E-minis were up 93.25 points, or 0.4%. This moves follow record closing highs for the S&P and the Nasdaq on Monday, in volatile trading after the US struck a trade agreement with the European Union, while the Dow remained just about 200 points short of an all-time high. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 527. In Botswana, it's at 13 pula 28. Kenya, 128 shilling 38. And Zambia, 23 kwacha 27. The BRICS countries in Brazil, the dollar there will cost you 5 ruble 58. In Russia, it's at 80 rubles 13. India, 86 rupees 63. China, 7 yuan 18. And in South Africa, the dollar will cost you 17 rand 83 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Gold at $3,312. Platinum $1,401 per ounce. Brand crude oil is at $69.96 a barrel. So, for any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business here in Johannesburg, my name is Tabiso Lohoko.
business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can only get it on The Upside. Every weekday, 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
In my heart for lockdown, oh lockdown. Yo, you sweet life, phantom. If I tell you say I love you, no day for me, young girl, oh young girl. No tell me no, oh. Baby, gon' give me your lo. You got me like whoa. Shawty gon' give me your lo. Girl, they do too much, but this girl mellow. Now in my divine situation, I go use they tell I'm mellow. Finally, I find way to talk to the girl, but she ain't no one follow. When you gonna phone for one? When you know I go for one? Then I start to feel a bum. But she dey give me small one. I know, say she's happy, pass it down one. But she feeling insecure, cause her friends go they come my light ring go on. Go they come my light ring go on. I say make her rest more. As me I wake up, now she did my mind don't walk. Then one day two, one of you folk go us. Now so me I go down, say make we link go walk.
Got my hand on your heart now, I can feel it race. If I leave, then you say you can never love again. Wanna give you it all, but can't promise that I'll stay. And that's a risk you take.
Baby, calm down. Yo, this your body, it puts in my heart for lockdown, oh lockdown. Yo, you sweet life, phantom. If I tell you say I love you, no day for me, young girl, oh young girl. No tell me no, oh. Baby, come give me your lo. You got me like whoa. Shawty, come give me your lo.
The Upside, live and real.
Early mama on your phone, I they call, baby. 247, it be you, I they want, baby. While I know yawa for you, baby. Chai pack well and balance well for me. Baby, oh baby. Baby, oh baby. Baby, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, baby. Baby, baby, oh, baby. Chai, back well and balance well for me.
I want you to pull me closer, baby. Oh, miss you, I can't lie. We don't build love where distance no fit corrupt. No yawa, oh, baby, tell me no yawa, oh. Back well and balance well for me.
Yeah, I know say things no balance, but you don't try for me. Yeah, yeah, and I go give you joy, cause I know strong man go there for me.
Yeah, good for you. No go give you story. Wanna give you story now. So back well and balance well for me.
Yeah, baby, baby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Baby, baby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Baby, baby, oh, baby. Baby, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, baby. Baby, baby, oh, baby.
Oh, back well and balance well for me.
The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
All right, Baby coming through on Channel Africa, The Upside with Tiwa Savage. And also in that double play, we heard the remix of Rema. Featured there is Selena Gomez. So it's Africa meeting the States in a piece of music with Calm Down, the title of this track. Thank you so much for staying with us. The Upside in the golden hour, in the second hour of the show. And in the next hour, I'll have you know that we are going to be talking about Black youth diving deep into ancestry and archaeology. So the Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmakers Organization has launched the 2025 edition of the Youth International Cultural Awareness Program. So we're going to find out more about that as we get into the third hour of the show. Thank you very much for staying with us. But very quickly, just to let you know about something that you can check out on our television screens.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in the year 2019. So it started on the 13th of July at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2 and it continues. So tune in every single Sunday for the highs, the heartache and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus anytime, anywhere. You don't need any subscriptions. Don't miss Chasing the Sun this Sunday, 7:30 on SABC2. Be there where history shines.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Annie Kalonji sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons à présent dérouler notre tapis rouge pour accueillir notre personnalité du jour, l'artiste chanteur skillfully qui est en ligne de Guinée avec nous.
Je suis un artiste guinéen, un créateur, un styliste et je fais un peu ce qui plaît à mes fans. Voilà, c'est un peu ça. On a beaucoup de genres de trucs à faire, mais bon, pour le moment, on est basé un peu sur le rap.
D'accord. À quelle période de votre vie avez-vous commencé à vous intéresser à la musique, Sheki?
Bon, je crois pas qu'il y ait une période, parce que moi, je suis un mélomane depuis mon petit âge.
Annika Longi, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
All right, 2:53. We are fast approaching 3 p.m. We've got a news bulletin coming through at 3 p.m. What caught your eye? It's kind of like not the same with Tebogo not being here, right? Because we have the whole theatrics when he's here. But we're going to continue. Let us know what caught your eye this afternoon. You can drop us a line on Twitter. That would be wonderful for you to catch up with us on Twitter at Channel Africa 1 with the hashtag Upside, or you can find us on Facebook as well as Channel Africa. So there is threads going around. Like, I think we are so invested in what people are doing in their personal lives. I don't know if you've picked that up, but there is quite a big trend of people putting threads up on Twitter in particular and detailing some very disturbing things that have happened in their personal lives. And then people comment either with something relatable or just tweeting to comment on what they are seeing. I don't know what you make of that trend, but you know, in my generation, 70 years ago, these things were secrets. We had secret diaries, these little secret diaries where you can actually even lock the diary. But I think with the dawn of social media, the beast that is social media, we have now just started putting out some very personal, very private matters on social media. So it's kind of like an open Dear Diary now. Social media has become a space of an open Dear Diary. I don't know what you make of that. I was actually just reading a thread of a woman in Nigeria just detailing how she'd met a guy whom she didn't date very long. I think 3 months in, she'd already fallen pregnant. And this guy didn't want to keep the child. And, you know, abortion was not an option for her. So she had to raise this child all by herself. And then there was an arranged marriage. I mean, very personal details of, falling in love, of infidelity, and all kinds of things. Okay. So now, as I understand it, it's no longer Twitter. Okay. Twitter's the old name. And then Elon Musk renamed it X. But let me tell you what they call it now. It's now the T app. Okay. That's what it's called now. It's now the T app. Because everybody be spilling the tea. I don't know. Would you do that? I definitely would not spill, not a droplet, not a crispy, not a grape, nothing on Twitter. Okay, that's for me to know and for people in my personal circle. But listen, are you dropping the tea on Twitter? Maybe you can tag us and we can have a look and opine on your personal matters. But I don't know what you make of this. It's become quite the trend.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, 23rd of July for Hard Talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC.
because of you, I be on the phone all night long. Oh. Don't be smart when you do it to me. Oh no, no, no. I be on my business, shawty, but you be on my mind, shawty. MLM, all of my honey, Kiss me to the cellular, kiss me to the phone. Can't you see I'm into ya? Can't you see I'm in love? Kiss me to the cellular, kiss me to the phone. Yeah, messing with my medulla. I can't talk alone. Oh no, no. Emiliano, 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 no. Emiliano, 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 no. You're one in Emiliano, 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 no. My Emiliano, 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 no. Girl, I wanna know what it feel like, what it feel like. Make I know I see beat for real life, for real life. In my condo, loving up your body in fast and slow mo. If I hit you, it's my combo. Can you never ever let me go? Dancing kiss me to the cellular, kiss me to the phone. Can't you see I'm into ya? Can't you see I'm in love? Kiss me to the cellular, kiss me to the phone. Yeah, messing with my medulla. I can't talk alone. Oh no, no. Emiliano, Emiliano, Emiliano.
Elinia, thanks to... What's the name of that artist? Okay, the name of the artist coming through. Oh my goodness, we're having too much fun that we're not even thinking about who the artists are. We're just moving and grooving. Thank you very much for staying with us. We are entering the third and final hour of the Upside. How quickly time flies when we're having a good time. All right, and we're going to continue with letting the good times roll on this Tuesday on the Upside, and we're going to be talking about the nature, environment, wildlife, and filmmakers organization that has launched the 2025 edition of the Youth International Cultural Awareness Program. Want to find out more about it? Stay with us in the next hour. Right now, though, it's 3 p.m. on the dot. Matapelo Mahape has the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Matsuko. Top stories this hour. Cameroon's Kamtu calls for calm, and Vatican's first mass are told of challenges posed by artificial intelligence. Good afternoon. Cameroon's opposition leader Maurice Kamto calls for calm following his barring from the Electoral Commission to run for the upcoming presidential election in October later this year. The decision has sparked concern of unrest and is seen as a boost to 92-year-old current President Paul Biya, who has been in power for decades. The MRC-CRM representative in South Africa, Natso Njomachuni, says the government has militarized the two biggest cities in the country.
Exactly. It is very uncomfortable, but the president has sent a message out to the population to remain calm. We all know that the decision by the Electoral Commission can be appealed to the Constitutional Council. All the candidate has 2 days to appeal the decision. So yesterday, the party appealed the decision on the Constitutional Council, and the Constitutional Council has 10 days to reply to our appeal. So the president has sent a clear message to all his militant and sympathizers to remain calm and wait until the decision from the Constitutional Council.
This year's State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World report from the United Nations has revealed that hunger continues to rise in most sub-Saharan regions in Africa and in the Western Asia. The report estimates that 8.2% of the global population experienced hunger in 2024, down by 8.5% in 2023 and 8.7% in 2022. Food and Agriculture Organization's David Lombard.
Today we start to see a recovery. As I've said, in some region it has taken place. In other
It has not taken place. And actually, the link with food inflation is there, meaning that the whole economic recovery has not been translated in terms of large food security gains because food has been expensive. So what we have seen around the world is, yes, if you have a country in conflict, hunger rise. When you have severe climate shock, hunger rise. When you are also in a society where inequality is very high, hunger will tend to rise.
South Africa's Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero says that the city is ready to host the upcoming G20 summit that is scheduled to take place later this year. World leaders will descend into South Africa in November in the first ever G20 summit in South Africa and the continent. The G20 summit comes at a time where the city of Johannesburg has been battling infrastructural challenges that have had a negative impact on service delivery. Despite the challenges faced by the metro, Morero says that the city of Johannesburg is more than ready to host any top international events. Until this now, Nigerian kidnappers have killed at least 35 people they abducted from a village in northern Zamfara state, despite ransoms being paid for their release. The bandits demanded a ransom of $655 per captive. Local government chairman Muniru Handara Garua said most of the killed were younger people who were savaged like rams. The Zamfara government condemned the killings as barbaric and cowardly and declared its resolve to wipe out terrorism from the state. The killers will be brought to justice. And the Pope has told the Vatican's first Mass for Catholic social media influencers about the challenges posed by artificial intelligence. About 2,000 young people coming from across the globe filled the Basilica to partake in the Mass as part of the Jubilee for Digital Missionaries and Catholic Influencers. Pope Leo said content creators should promote encounters between hearts. He said the change people wish to see in the world is directly connected to how they choose to influence others and the motivations behind it. He added that some use false advertising to sway people. Others use blackmail or bribery. Still others resort to war, bombings, forced starvation as a means of influencing those around them. The Pontiff urged his young audience to protect people's dignity in the new era of AI. A recap of your top story. Cameroon's opposition leader Maurice Kamto calls for calm following the barring from the Electoral Commission to run for the upcoming presidential election in October later this year. The decision has sparked concern of unrest and is seen as a boost to 92-year-old current President Paul Biya, adding that the government has militarized the two biggest cities in the country. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I am Matabela Mahabe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Minutes into 3 p.m. Central African time. Well, here we are, the grand finale of almost said planting the seed. That's on Sundays, okay? That is on Sundays between midday and 2. Right now, it's The Upside with Matsheko Mosito, and my wonderful co-host will be back with us on Thursday. That's Tebogo Kuleni. You can follow him on social media in the meantime. I'm sure he'll be happy to update you on his out and about. But here we are, okay? We're going to be looking at Black youth diving deep into ancestry and archaeology. So we're going to be looking at the Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmakers Organization and the launch of the 2025 edition of the Youth International Cultural Awareness Program. Right? All of this in partnership with Diving with Purpose. And this is a program that aims to bring together 20 young people from the United States and 10 from Sotwana Bay here in South Africa. And we're going to be looking at a very groundbreaking exchange by the look of things when we look at marine conservation and maritime archaeology. Doesn't that sound fascinating? Like, I'm enticed already. So that is the conversation that's going to be coming through in this hour. We're going to be joined by NUWF Executive Director and Co-founder, that is Noel Cook. He's going to be joining me in conversation in this hour. Otherwise, listen in. Any comments are most welcome.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel África. Adivinha só, a Channel África quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel África está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
For Mandela, life was about making a difference, not just living. This Mandela Day, Channel Africa honors that legacy.
It is for humanity or for society to decide how I should be remembered. I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying.
On Channel Africa,
The African Perspective.
your afternoons just got even better. Fresh and exciting.
The Upside, hooking you up with today's news
From an African perspective.
unda ponya ngale na tondo noa wamo boandale wamo boandale wamo dubenambae wamo dubenambae inana ina 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 Doramio ayo ina ina Doramio oh ina ina Doramio ina ina Doramio oh ina ina Doramio ina ina Doramio
14 minutes past 3 p.m. Central African Time, coming through with music by Grace Deka Munyengwe, the title of the song. And this is us on the upside in the final hour. All right, so we are looking at very interesting dip into ancestry and archaeology. All right, the Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmakers Organization. Well, they've launched the 2025 edition of the Youth International Cultural Awareness Program, all in partnership with the Diving with a Purpose. All right. The program brings together 20 young people, 10 from the United States and 10 from here in South Africa, in Sodwana Bay to be specific, for an exchange grounded in marine conservation and maritime archaeology. As I understand it, the second collaboration between the two organizations, built on Connection First, was made in the year 2019, and it also offers participants the chance to explore their heritage, their identity through underwater exploration, cultural storytelling and direct mentorship. So it is very exciting for us to really look at what it's all about when we look at ancestry meeting archaeology with this particular program. We've got on the line the Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmaker Organization co-founder Noel Koch, who joins me on the line. Noel, welcome to Channel Africa. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It is really a pleasure and an honor to join.
Oh my goodness. As I'm speaking, I'm so fascinated by this program. But before we talk about the nitty-gritties, talk to us about the Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmakers Organization. What is it that you do?
So we were established back in 2017. As the name says, Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmakers. We're established back in 2017, mostly for two reasons. One, because Black African nature and wildlife filmmakers were rarer than most of the species scientists and conservationists were trying to save on the continent of Africa. And two, to change this narrative that every time you saw a film about Africa, a nature and wildlife film about Africa, we as Black Africans were mostly portrayed as the poacher, the pirate, the ranger, the guide, or our people who would sing for tourists as they jumped off their safari vehicles. Now, we are extremely proud of our rangers and our guides and all our people who work in the hospitality industry, but we are so much more than that. And I always like to say, how do you change the story? You change the storyteller. And so our organization was formed with the focus and with the role of changing the narrative and changing the storytellers and the storytellers of nature, environment, and wildlife in Africa.
Oh man, that is a good place to start, I think, especially as we talk about, the launch of the very exciting Youth International Cultural Awareness Program between youth from the United States and here in South Africa at the Sodwana Bay, to be specific. We're going to delve into this exchange and really unpack themes around conservation and marine archaeology. Let's take a quick break.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. 9 to 12 midday, Central African Time. On the Move with Palisa Tau and Benjamin Mushatam.
Should influencers be expected to be impactful in society? If there is a social or societal conversation that goes up, should we be waiting eagerly to hear what the influencers have to say?
They are more than just entertainers. They are thought leaders to some certain degree. They influence culture, they influence people's thought processes, they set trends, they shape opinions of people. And the sad reality is, although a lot of them don't want to accept it, I think we're getting better with them realizing that embarking in that journey and in that space comes with a certain level of responsibility.
I see it differently in that, professionals are really good at their job, but there is an optionality that they might have to use the position that they hold in society to be able to deliver a message. This year you made the example of actors and actresses. So the same could apply to a sportsman. Just because someone's good at soccer doesn't mean that they have to have an influence over society from a specific standpoint.
Keeping you on the know and on the move. The Upside with Teboholi Kuleni and Mateko Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Welcome back. We are taking a deep dive into ancestry and archaeology. We're talking about a very exciting program that is put together by the Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmakers Organization. And they've come together with Diving with a Purpose to launch a very exciting youth international cultural awareness program. So we're looking here at, marine life. We're looking at archaeology. We look at ancestry, as I'd mentioned. So it's very exciting to look at this in its second year, as I understand it. And on the line to tell us more, we have Noel Kok, who is joining us in his capacity as NEWF Executive Director and co-founder of the organization. Noel, welcome back. Let's talk about the impact. I think impact, very important, as you see it, particularly with the local youth from Sodwana Bay, through the participation in marine programs, especially ones of this nature, as we see it now.
Yeah, and I think before I speak about the actual exchange, one of our biggest programs is, and we like to claim, and I say to claim because we haven't 1 trillion% proved it, right? But we like to claim that we run the largest ocean access program for African scientists, conservationists, and filmmakers in Africa. And where this came about was back in 2018 at our second Congress. When we were deciding on the programming,
right?
Africa as a continent is surrounded by over 30,000 kilometers of coastline. 38 of the 54 countries have a coastline. And we were saying, are we as Africans using this are we using this natural resource as a storytelling tool? What stories are we telling about the ocean? What stories are we telling about our coastlines and our shorelines? And when we were putting the panel together, we just assumed that we would put a Black African underwater filmmaker as part of the panel. Well, to our shock and horror, we could not find one across the entire continent. I mean, there were lots of divers or lots of Africans who were working in the dive industry, but we could not find any underwater filmmaker. And that's what inspired us again to start this ocean access program, because we saw the significant need. I mean, the bigger shock, at first it was a shock, but then it excited us, was that whilst we were doing this, whilst we were searching, we were introduced to hundreds and hundreds of marine biologists, Black African marine biologists, who were at master's and PhD level even,
right,
who could not swim, let alone dive. And we were like, how is this even possible on a continent that's surrounded by ocean? Why, what's going on? And then obviously that is multiplied when you just take it down to communities. And it's like, where is, what's happening? How come, why are we excluded from the stories of the ocean? Why are we excluded from telling kind of stories, etc.? And so we started this Ocean Access Program to change that and to fix that. But this is where I think our eventual connection with Diving with the Purpose actually came into being. Because sometimes when I look at it and to say, how is it that we have become so excluded from the ocean? Why is it that all across Africa, the same story prevails, that we are terrified of water, that we all have these similar stories that create fear in us around the ocean so that we don't go in it? When one considers that for, what is it, 500 years ago, when the slave trade started, it was the ocean that took our people away. And so naturally, our elders and our ancestors came up with these stories to protect us, to move us away from the ocean. And I think that's somewhere or when we started losing our connection to the ocean. That's when we started losing our culture of belonging to the ocean. And why is it that nowadays, even when we do connect with the ocean, it's only either for work, food, or religious purposes? Why can't we why is it only 3 times a year that we go and actually have recreation at the ocean? But even when we do that, we only play where the waves break. And we cannot, I always like to say, we cannot save what we can't see. And so, in Sodwana Bay, you have one of the world's top 5 dive sites. You have one of the most beautiful, pristine coral reef systems. You have whale migrations, shark migrations, turtle migrations. But how do you expect the young people of Sodwana Bay, the youth who have lived here and through all their lives being living right next to the ocean, how do you expect them to protect and save that if they cannot see it? And that's why we like to say we cannot save what we can't see. And so that's part of why we've started these programs to reclaim our natural heritage, to reconnect and create those connections. And so naturally, I was saying, our connection to Diving with the Purpose is suddenly we met this, back in 2019, as you explained earlier, we met this organization that was, through maritime archaeology, was searching for slave ships, ships that were carrying Africans who never got to the Americas to become African Americans. Those were Africans who died, and African souls who are lying at the bottom of the ocean. And we met this organization that was searching for these slave ships so that they could honor them, they could name these ships and retrace as to where they come from. And on a continent where bringing the soul home means so much to us as Africans, honoring our dead and giving them dignity means so much to us as Africans, we were naturally attracted to them because they were doing African work. It is, I think in the Zulu tradition, it's Lahlamkunzi, where you go and fetch the soul and bring the soul home.
Yes.
And there was an American organization doing that kind of work. And that's, for us, is what made that natural connection, and why it was important for us to introduce the youth from Sodwana, or African youth, to an organization like that who's doing that type of work.
No, everything you've said. I'm just blown away by just your deep interrogation and deep dive, into ancestral history and our relationship with water, because that's actually where it begins. What relationship do we have with water, and what happened in the past? What happened 500 years ago that informs our relationship with water? And I love that saying. We should definitely put that on a surfing board or something. We cannot save what we cannot see. 100% agree with that. So I think for me, what's really significant to note is just science meeting conservation and filmmaking. What an interesting trio, and it's all about preservation. But we are just slowly running out of time, but I really do want to talk about the exchange. The young people, the young participants from the United States. Can you talk to us about how they've responded to the experience, especially when it comes to them connecting with their African counterparts and then learning about African heritage through marine archaeology?
Yeah, I think, they are the sort of experts in the marine archaeology. So they were sharing a lot with the young people here and introducing that. I think a lot of us, what our youth were sharing with them was obviously our magnificent reefs, and some within the group from the African side were marine biologists and sharing, their passion for saving the ocean and conservation. And then a number of our cohort were storytellers. The exchange was opened by none other than Mamqina Mhlope, who came and spoke about our, through storytelling, about our connections to the ocean. And then a lot of the youngsters in our cohort, through the work that we are doing with them, is, have been exposed to photography, to the process of producing films, and they have, since becoming professional divers, are learning to use cameras underwater. And we are showing them, and even the scientists, even the marine biologists within the organization, were exchanging with the Americans in terms of the importance of using visual art to tell your stories. That old cliched saying of a picture tells 1,000 words.
Right.
And if you can get a video, and that kind of stuff. And, the idea is that if you can create awe, and if you can introduce people to new things through documenting it, it's the science of maritime archaeology, specifically documenting what has happened in the past.
Right.
And for us as filmmakers, again, particularly in the documentary world, is documenting stories and being able to take the science of maritime archaeology. Sorry.
No, so I'm so sorry. We've just got to take a sports break. I would really love for you to continue. If you can kindly give us a little extra time so we can continue our conversation.
Okay.
Very fascinating. We're speaking to Executive Director and Co-founder Noel Koch, who is, of course, with the Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmakers Organization. We continue after sports. Figilele Ngwadi, thanks for your patience. We're coming back to you.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And in this hour, we begin with the swimming news. The World Swimming Championships in Singapore gold. The 21-year-old, that is Peter Kutse, a South African, an African record set at the University Games in Germany just 10 days ago, winning the 100 meters backstroke title. He clocked a time of 51.85 seconds, also the fastest time in the world this year. World record holder Thomas Sikhoen was second, 500th of a second behind Kutse, while Johan Ndoye Brouard of France won the bronze medal. Earlier, 19-year-old compatriot Chris Smith booked his place in the final of the men's 50 meters breaststroke. He finished second in the first semi-final in a personal best time of 26.77 seconds. It was a joint fifth fastest time. And now on to football news. Two-time champions Morocco have become the first team to arrive for the 2024 Total Energies CAF African Nations Championship CHAN, setting the tone for what promises to be an electrifying tournament co-hosted by Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda. The Atlas Lions landed at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, receiving a vibrant East African welcome, complete with traditional dancers and music. The North African Giants, aiming to become the first country to win the Chan title 3 times, are wasting no time in getting acclimatized as they begin their final preparations for the tournament opener. Morocco's early arrival signals intent as the 2-time winners look to dominate Group A, which includes hosts Kenya, DR Congo, Angola, and Zambia. They begin their campaign on Sunday against Angola at the Nyayo National Stadium. The chairperson of the South African Football Association's Technical Committee, Jack Maluleke, says the association wants to retain the services of Banyana Banyana coach Desiree Ellis despite the team failing to defend their Women's Africa Cup of Nations title. Banyana finished a disappointing 4th after losing to Ghana in the bronze medal playoff. The defeat to Ghana in the bronze medal playoff match was another bitter pill to swallow. When asked about the future, Banyana Banyana coach Desiree Ellis was tight-lipped.
I'm not going to comment. I've been taken out of context on numerous occasions, and I think it's best that I don't comment on that, because already all over the media, what people are writing is not true. Certain things is not true. So when people write, they must get the facts right first of all. They don't get the facts right and they write the wrong thing. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm saying no comment.
The 16th edition of the WAFCON tournament will be played next year after the 2024 tournament was delayed for a year by the Confederation of African Football. Ellis is already planning for the qualifying matches in October.
We have to prepare for a qualifier in October. Not sure when the Kusafa Cup is, because we haven't got dates for that yet, and that's going to be before we even talk about WAFCON, that's going to be a very, very important qualifier. We saw the DR Congo in the group with Zambia and Morocco. Yes, they might have lost their first game 4-0, but they are a formidable team. We played them last year in the qualifiers as well, with a very young team because we didn't have players available.
For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us to +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
In recent weeks, East Africa has seen a disturbing rise in human rights violations. In Kenya, digital activist Rose Njeri was arrested under the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act after creating a tool for citizens to oppose the Finance Bill 2025. Meanwhile, in Tanzania, Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and Ugandan lawyer Agatha Atuhaire reported being detained, tortured, and sexually assaulted by security officers.
East Africa needs a reset. We need to get back East Africa to where the founding fathers are. When President Nyerere and his colleagues, Jomo Kenyatta and the Ugandan counterparts fought for independence. They fought for independence to get Africans out of poverty, to get Africans out of slavery. The leaders who took up power have since gotten into regression.
Neto Agostino, co-leader of the United Green Movement Party.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine.
15:37. Let's check in with the last roundup of business news. Thabiso Lehoko, what's happening?
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Matseko, and good afternoon. Police say violent protests in Angola over a fuel price hike killed at least 4 people and led to hundreds of arrests, with unrest continuing in a few parts of the capital, Luanda. Monday's violence, which involved looting, acts of vandalism and clashes with the police, followed a government decision early this month to increase the diesel price by 1/3 to ease the strain of costly fuel subsidies on public finances. Minibus taxi associations, which in turn hiked their fares by up to 50%, launched a 3-day strike to protest the move on Monday, when the violence erupted. South Africa's Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister, Gwede Mantashe, says South Africa should not be bullied into trading its critical minerals based on unfavorable terms and conditions. He says South Africa should not be apologetic for being a BRICS partner because it destabilizes the balance of forces and global leadership. He was delivering a keynote address at the G20 Critical Mineral Engagement in Sandton, north of Johannesburg. Mantashe stressed that if being a BRICS member attracts tariffs from the US, then South Africa should diversify its markets.
The most important thing for us as developing economies is that we should not be bullied for what we own. We must have a view, and our view must be respected, that we mine these critical minerals. People need them. They must talk to us. We must not give them critical minerals in their own terms, and our views are ignored.
Meanwhile, Mantashe has stressed the importance of Africa processing its own minerals instead of exporting raw materials to countries that impose high tariffs. He was speaking at the G20 Critical Minerals Stakeholder Engagement currently underway in Johannesburg. The engagement is being held under the theme Harnessing Critical Minerals for Inclusive Growth and Sustainable Development. Mantashe comments.
We want a discussion with China. They can build a bigger chrome industry than us when we mine chrome. The bigger chrome industry must be here because we're the biggest chrome miner in the world. We can't allow our chrome to be exported. It is kept, and then we flood the market later on. Prices collapse. We cannot allow that.
Egypt's economy likely grew 4.0% in its fiscal year that ended in June, a slight upward revision from the 3.8% forecast in April as reforms are tied to IMF financing and stronger manufacturing activity support a gradual recovery. Growth in gross domestic product was projected to accelerate to 4.6% this fiscal year. This is in accordance to the median estimate of 13 economists surveyed from the 15th to the 28th of July. The Arab world's most populous country has been struggling with the aftermath of a sharp currency devaluation, soaring inflation, and the economic fallout from the war in Gaza. Research from Business Research Insights finds suggests that globally, the craft beer market is forecast to triple to more than $250 billion by 2033, as craft producers win over customers from the brands of the major international companies, AB InBev, Guinness and Heineken. On the one hand, Nigeria's Bechur brewery is working to wean more customers off the big brands and onto its locally inspired craft beers. Bechur Brewery, which began operations in Abuja in 2017, is the biggest of Nigeria's craft brewers, produces 22,000 litres monthly, including locally inspired flavours such as Harmattan Haze, Lagos Lager and Mango Disco. Financial indicators at this hour. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 527 in Botswana. It's at 13 pula 28. Kenya 128 shilling 38 and Zambia 23 kwacha 27. The BRICS countries. I'll start in South Africa. Here, the dollar here will cost you 17 rand 83 cents. In China, it's at 7 yuan 18, and in India 86 rupees 63. Russia 80 rubles 13, and in Brazil the dollar will cost you 5 real 58. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Gold is trading at $3,312 and platinum $1,401 per ounce. Brand crude oil is at $69.96 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Tabiso Lohoko.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective. Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126 and we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk, it's your chance to air your views, share your opinion, engage with a community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from the African perspective.
Well, I'm very pleased that you stayed with us as we look at ancestry and archaeology. We are talking about the Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmakers Organization and their launch of a very important youth international cultural awareness program. And this is all about bringing together young people, 20 young people from South Africa, 10 from the United States, coming together to exchange grounding and knowledge systems, as it were, when we look at marine conservation and maritime archaeology. On the line with us, we've got the executive director and co-founder of the Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmakers Organization, Noel Koch. Noel, thank you so much for waiting patiently. Welcome back to the show. I think where we had left off the conversation was really in talking about the participation of the young people from the United States. And you were just giving us some insight into their knowledge base and them coming into, African heritage, as it were, and learning about maritime archaeology in that perspective.
Yeah, and I think what was really great was they, a number of them have participated in the recovery of shipwrecks, particularly in their oceans across in the USA, and they were sharing those skills with young people here in South Africa. But in the exchange, we were sharing the storytelling skills. A number, it wasn't just the young people. We have from NUF, we had a number of what we call our new fellows. A number of them are also National Geographic explorers who come from various countries in Africa, who were sharing photography skills. We had, sharing underwater photography, cinematography and photography. I was saying to you that Mamti Mhlope came and opened the event with our storytelling. And really gave shone a spotlight in terms of the importance of traditional and indigenous knowledge in storytelling and reclaiming our heritage. I think what was really fascinating was how these young people, literally within hours of meeting each other, completely connected. Instantly that connection was there, and then the sharing just took place and continued to take place throughout the week. By the second day, they were chanting this mantra almost of, we might have come from across the oceans, or people say that it's oceans that divide us, but in fact it's the oceans that connect us. It was just absolutely magical to feel those connections. And I can't. I wish I could bottle it and share it with everybody. But there was a sense of healing that was taking place. I kept saying I feel like our ancestors that are lying at the bottom of those oceans were celebrating, and without trying to make this a thing about color or anything like that. Never before had there been that many black divers on the beach of Sodwana Bay. We had chartered 3 boats, at each given time. At each given time, there were 33 divers going into the ocean, at Sodwana Bay. And like we were saying, our ancestors were feeling that reclamation and feeling this coming together and recognizing of the fact that, it maybe is a time for healing, and what better way by learning about our culture and our where we come from, and the things that have created the separation and that kind of stuff. And I think this is just the beginning in terms of the work that we are doing with regards to this exchange.
Oh man, there's so many things to commend about the work that you are doing, just holistically, not just through the program, but just as an organization, as the NEWF. The work that you're doing is so important. The preservation of indigenous knowledge systems, using the ocean as a portal for that education. And also, I think it's so wonderful that you brought on Dr. Gqina to open the space, because not only is she a storyteller, but she's also, for those that have watched her, over the years, she loves to incorporate scenes of nature into her storytelling. The rain, the sun, the moon, the ocean, all of that. So I think that is just so beautiful to note. I had a smile on my face when you said that. So this is us in conversation talking about Black youth diving deep into ancestry and archaeology. We'll be right back.
Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa One. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa One. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. This is the upside for the best African vibes, groundbreaking content.
Still in conversation with NEWF Executive Director and co-founder Noel Koch, and we are talking about a very interesting youth international cultural awareness program that really looks at marine life, environment, nature, archaeology. Really just so beautiful. Noel, let's talk about the important, you gave us a bit of a backdrop culturally, but also you spoke so eloquently and so generously, might I add, around the importance of, identifying the historical context of this and what that means culturally, not only as part of history, but also how it informs contemporary African spaces as we know it when we look at archaeology. So to take us into the future then, post this wonderful program, what would you like to see in terms of education for these young people? What would you like to see for conservation and also for just storytelling and preservation of history?
I think let us start with around conservation and around the work. There is a very big call for the world to protect 30% of the world's oceans and to create marine protected areas And just yesterday was, I think, African Marine Protected Area Day, by the year 2030. And we like to say that we totally support this initiative. However, to better support it, we need to ensure that Africans have access and equity in our oceans. These are our oceans. These are our stories. But what does equity for Africans look like in our oceans? We can't only be the ones pushing the boats into the water. Right. We can't only see these oceans as food, as a place of worship or a place of work. It needs to be a place of wonder. It needs to be a place of research. It needs to be a place of heritage and of connection and of recreation for our people. It needs to be a place of exploration for our people. Again, we need to reclaim that, and we need to show that we were leading mariners. There are so many examples of African mariners being involved in being taken to European countries to fix ships and boats and that kind of stuff. And it's proof that it was part of our culture. So how do we erase that fear? How do we reconnect? That's what the future looks like. How do we lead the science and the exploration for the protection of Africa's oceans? They say 70% of the air that we breathe comes from the ocean. Okay, we need to do our bit, and we need to lead that fight to protect our oceans. We as Africans need to do that. We need to get our governments to invest in the technology, in the vessels, in order to conduct the science. What really excites me is within our network, all across Africa, up in Nigeria, up in Benin, the government of Benin is doing unbelievable work in terms of supporting the science research. We have young fellows and scientists who are also nat geo explorers like us, who are doing unbelievable research in Benin, Ghana, Cameroon, in East Africa. There are so many biologists in East Africa leading the most unbelievable sort of research and driving new economies and leading the new blue economy. We have a young couple in Tanzania who we were fortunate enough to meet Nancy in 2021 as a marine biologist. She could not even swim. She came down here to South Africa and participated in our dive labs, left here as a dive master. Now they lead the largest seaweed farm in Africa.
Wow.
Up in East Africa through their organization Action for Oceans. They have in Tanzania, they have certified and qualified over 40 divers, including 4 dive instructors through our partnership. And so we are just so excited for the future and what this is presenting all across Africa, because we are not afraid of water. This is where we come from. Our parents and our ancestors did not come up with those stories to make us afraid. They came up with those stories to protect us. And now we're saying it's okay. It's okay. We are strong enough. We are ready to return and reclaim our heritage in our oceans.
Oh my goodness. So profound. and very prolific, not just in thought, Noel, but really in just the work, and I love just the crisscross across various African regions and, learning, collaborating, borrowing from each other. And you talk about the significance of blue economies, and this is how it's done, through collaboration. I think if we're building a new earth, this is such a fine example of how to do it. Thank you so much. Very quickly, your partnership with Diving with a Purpose. I mean, we spoke about it very briefly, but perhaps if we could elaborate their function in this entire program, building up and as we see it right now.
So their specific function is or role is, they have been in existence a lot longer than we have. They have been, their founders were part of founding the organization NABS, which is the National Association of Black Scuba Divers in America. And so they have had access to expertise and trainers and organizations all across the world. Through DWP and through Ken Stewart, the co-founder of DWP, they are sharing so much of that experience and knowledge with us. They have come and are training a group of lifesavers for us here with our organization. They are supporting us in terms of the networks that they have across the world, and they are increasingly trying, and not just here in South Africa, but all across Africa. And they are programs. Another National Geographic explorer, Tara Roberts, she has a massive program through, she's a National Geographic explorer in residence in Washington, D.C. She's African American. She is leading a program that focuses on.
It's such a pity. Now we've run out of time. I am so disappointed. We need 5 hours together, Noel, to really talk about this. There's so much to take a deep dive into. But thank you so much. You've really opened up our minds as to what is possible for the blue economy, but also how it's never an each sold separately. Science, conservation, filmmaking, storytelling, it's really all one thing. The holistic view of the work that you do is very important. Thank you once again, and best wishes with the young people that you're mentoring through the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. And yes, I'd love you to come and join us and dive.
Oh, I'd love to. Oh, listen, I accept that invitation. I love that. Thank you very much. Noel Cocker joining us in his capacity as Executive Director and co-founder of the Nature, Environment and Wildlife Filmmakers Organization. Very quickly, we're going to tap in and check in with what's coming up with Tami Ngubeni as she brings us Africa in Business.
Hello. Really, really quickly. Good afternoon to each and every single one of you. Quite a packed show today. We'll be taking a look at some protest action that's taking place, issues of, unemployment, issues of high cost of living, but also something really interesting taking place. The Regenesis School of Entrepreneurship, in partnership with Access Bank South Africa, will be launching an initiative to empower women-led businesses from across the African continent. A focus on that this afternoon. And also the deadline is looming. 1st of August is just around the corner. That 30% reciprocal tariff hike by Donald Trump is supposed to be implemented. The Citrus Growers Association of South Africa has written to the president saying, please let it stay at this 10% for now. That and a whole lot more coming up on Africa in Business.
All right, very important. Okay, we will be back with you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks to the team. Tami Ngubeni taking over after the 4 p.m. news bulletin with Matapelo Mahape.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 806.